Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kylie Jackson, and I'm the president of Student National Education Association, also known as SNEA. My co-facilitator today will be Ms. Michelle Acker. And before we get started, I just want to go over some simple housekeeping rules. First and foremost, please make sure that your microphones are muted throughout today's presentation unless otherwise instructed by our presenters. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please be sure to write those in the chat box. We will absolutely dedicate a time at the end to answering those. Today's presenters are going to be Don Bronstein, Mike Alba, Michelle Marshall, and Rochelle Snyder from Brevard County Schools. So without further ado, the School of Teacher Education and Student National Education Association presents Effective Integration of Technology into Your Lessons.
So I'll take over here. My name is Don Bronstein. I am the Manager of Instructional Technology for Brevard Public Schools. I have with me today Michelle Marshall and Rochelle Schneider, and they are teacher technology integrators. And this is a role that I encourage you to look for in any district you might go to work for. They're called different things. So teacher technology integrators are teacher trainers and coaches and collaborators in the area of instructional technology. So they will provide in-service training district-wide on effective technology integration. They will go out to schools and provide in-service. They'll work with small teams. They'll work with individual teachers, but even more powerful, they will actually go into classrooms and collaborate with teachers who are implementing new instructional methods using instructional technology, and they can lead that training or take a back seat and just support the teacher in the room. So you'll have more time to meet Michelle and Rochelle in our breakout rooms in a few moments. But first, let me move forward with our agenda. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start by discussing instructional technology in 2020. And there have been a lot of changes in the world in the last 9 or 10 months, but we know instructional technology is one of those areas that has had a monumental shift. So it's important to kind of provide the context of where we were and where we are, because even if you left a school setting in a classroom a few years ago, or if you did an internship or service hours last year, classes have changed significantly now. So we'll kind of track what that looks like now for us. I want to talk about the benefits of technology integration, and this would be pre-COVID, COVID, and after. Why do we integrate technology in classrooms? And then we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about blended learning, because blended learning is really the key to effective technology integration. And the question we were posed for this presentation was, how can a teacher effectively integrate technology within their classroom or within e-learning? And I want to kind of time travel backwards a little bit into November 2019, which was the first time that we gave this presentation. And we kind of looked back at it when we were preparing this presentation to look at how much it had changed. But I think it's important to set the context for the night. So back in last November, if you had participated in this presentation, you would have seen us talk about how on the left side, you'll see a classroom from 1928. And on the right side, you will see a classroom from 2018, a more typical classroom. Now on the right side, I do see some computers on desks. I see a lot of opportunity there for desks to come together, for collaboration to take place. But by and large, I think a lot of people would say if they had gone to classrooms, while we have some pockets of integration and we have some computer technology out there in some classrooms and some one-to-one classrooms, oftentimes you do see these classrooms kind of float back into this model of having students in rows and the teacher presenting. And that model worked really well when we had a workforce that was doing routine jobs. You had assembly lines and factory work and even telephones that now, if you look at our workforce, those jobs have all been taken over by the technology. And the job market now is really more something that involves collaboration, people working together. This is Google. This is probably not how Google works right now. Most of those workers, I believe, are working remotely at the moment. But even if you look at the workforce right now at the integration of technology. It has really exploded, and the skills that people have learned are going to change the workforce permanently in technology, just what's from happened the last several months. We also know that the jobs that exist today, and these are just a few newer jobs, are very different than the jobs of the past. And our students are going to be entering into jobs that haven't even been created yet, but we know that most of them will involve creativity, collaboration, and some of those more advanced skills. So last year, this was one of the slides we presented. So we talked about the past, the present, again, with those pockets of innovation. But for our future, if we're really preparing students to go to the workforce that we know they're entering, our classrooms need to look more like those classrooms on the right, where we have technology fully integrated into the curriculum. So shortly after that presentation in November, this happened. And here is where we ended up. And let's see if my video is going to play here for us.
Eyes up, hearts up, mind sharp, compassion on full blast. Okay, let's go.
More than 1,500 K-12 schools across the country plan to shut down.
We're now at a point where the appropriate path is to close schools.
I'm going to try my best not to get emotional during all of this, but our district is going to be closed for the next 6 weeks.
In case someone is watching this video from the future, there is a pandemic happening and schools all over the world are closing down.
I'm gonna have to pack up all my stuff and I am going to head home.
All right, we're headed out. Hopefully we will be here sooner rather than later.
Wow. This is not a break, guys. This is a time in which we are starting to figure out what remote learning could look like.
It's not a job that easily translates to working from home. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this?
How am I gonna teach social skills over the internet? Some of my students don't have internet.
We're all overwhelmed right now. We're all working from home.
Welcome to my makeshift teacher desk area. I'm sorry for the mess.
Multitasking in my pajamas.
I have been working on distance learning plans every waking hour.
All right, so I'm about to go in and start my first online lesson. This feels weird.
I'm so nervous.
Hello, sir. I think your microphone is off.
Good morning. Week 3 of digital learning has begun.
Oh snap, they could not even see today's work yet.
I know what you're gonna say. It's not working! Don't give up, guys. Don't lose hope.
Then you're gonna click Go Live.
Good morning, pumpkins. Today we're gonna read another couple of chapters.
Here is the data.
That's 1. Let's see if we can do 10.
Welcome to band.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, that just lifted my mood, like exponentially doing something for my kids. I miss them and I miss teaching.
I've gotten a couple emails from parents and good morning, thank you for the video. She misses you too. We'll keep in contact.
I feel like it's been a positive day of quarantine life and distance learning.
I almost have 100% participation, which I really didn't think was possible.
day 2 went much better. Day 3 went much better. And so we are doing the very best that we can.
I hope you know, teachers, that you, my beautiful friends, are enough. Whatever instructions that you're providing, whatever tools that you're giving your students, it's all enough.
So now moving forward to today, we had that event, and I think Rochelle and Michelle would agree with me that we had been working for years to teach teachers some skills as we integrated technology into their classrooms. And it was a very slow process, but in 2 weeks' time, the growth that teachers made and students made in their use of technology and the expectations for technology usage in school just changed so dramatically that our landscape just won't be the same moving forward. If you look at the models currently used in BPS, and I think this is typical of schools probably across Florida, we have the first 2 models are models we've always had. We have some classrooms that are purely brick and mortar, even still. Maybe there were 3 third grade classes and they had enough students who wanted brick and mortar in 2 classes and maybe 1 e-learning class. So we have some brick and mortar classes that have still maybe a set of 5 computers or maybe a laptop card in them that are running. We have Brevard Virtual School, which we've had for many years, and that is an asynchronous model more than anything else, where students can do their classwork on their own time. But the 2 models we've added that we have this year is we have e-learning. So we have some classes of students who are at home, the teachers at school, and all of the students are at home and they are connecting remotely to their teacher. But the vast majority of our classes here in Brevard schools, all of our secondary classes and a lot of our elementary classes now are hybrid classes. So the teacher, and you've probably heard of these, the teacher has some students in the classroom with them physically and other students remotely using e-learning. And so it's totally changed the landscape of teaching. So now when I look at that same slide for the past, the present, and the future, we know the past is the same. Our present looks very different, and because of the difference of what's happened, our future, we still know we need that different setup to prepare students for our workforce, because our workforce is probably going to be even more remote. We have companies saying they'll probably never bring their whole workforce back in again. They've seen they don't need to do that. And so we're kind of still forming that future and seeing where we're going to be once things get back to a little more normalcy. This is a report from the Brookings Institute that I thought was interesting, where they looked at some emerging global trends based on education and COVID. And one of the first ones was education inequality. We know there's been inequality in education for years. The events of the last several months just put a spotlight on it, and it particularly put a spotlight on the issue of technology inequality. There are districts now investing a lot, as we are, in laptops to make sure we have more technology out there. But really, even if we look at that internet access, there's a very big difference when you're connecting to a live class between using a Wi-Fi hotspot that we send home for students who don't have internet access and the quality you get on a high bandwidth connection for families that can afford that connection. So we're still working through those equality issues. In order to make all of this work, we had to embrace innovation and creativity, everything from how to line students up in a lunch line, how to manage the cafeteria, to how to manage e-learning. And that's not something that education always does well. We tend to kind of get stuck into our model and stay with it, as the earlier slide showed. So it's going to be interesting now that we've created all these interesting models for school around the country. What is education going to look like going forward? How many of these are going to continue? Increased public support. I know everyone's heard a lot of conversation about how important it is that we keep schools open, that students need to get back to education as soon as possible. I think the data that comes back out when we do some testing to see the different models and the different access that students had and how that impacted their learning going forward is going to be interesting. But we really can capitalize on that public interest and support and awareness we have with the public, and those school parent community connections, because parents, when they had to teach their own children, they really grew to appreciate the teacher's role, and that created some nice relationships that hopefully will continue moving forward. So when we look at the benefits of technology integration as you kind of transition in a few minutes to looking at blended learning, I could list hundreds of these, but I'm going to list some important ones that I want you to consider in the context of blended learning. So engagement and motivation is one. The way we assess ourselves as educators for success with academic success for our students, passing grades, their test scores, those all strongly correlate to engagement. We also know that students who are not engaged tend to drop out of school, and the older students become the more they report not being engaged. Technology is an amazing tool for keeping students engaged because they can present to real audiences, interact with experts, and accomplish a lot of tasks that you can't if you're isolated in the classroom. Provides for authentic problem-based learning, those real experiences that will prepare students for the workforce we were looking at. Access to grade level content for all students is key. We all make our technology work for us. We set it for our vision needs, for our light needs. The same thing can be done for our students in terms of a reading deficit should no longer keep a student from accessing their science content on grade level if it's textual, because the computer can adapt that for them. The same thing with language deficits. The computer can come back in and take care of working with those deficits. 24/7 access would be another one. This is a screenshot I took in October 14th, and you can see that between 9 and 10 at night, we had over 1,000 students who logged into our learning platform. So learning really is happening 24 hours a day. Technology is also important for progress monitoring. So you can do just-in-time monitoring of your students. You can individualize education, see what students are not understanding, and address it immediately. This is an overview of the teaching tech tools we use in our district. I'm always tempted to leave this slide out because, in my view, even though the key part of my job is supporting the applications upon which all of our instructional technology takes place, in my opinion, a good application is one that teachers and students can learn to use quickly, and then it just disappears in the background. And what really builds on top of that, what's important are the content and the standards and the teaching and learning that's taking place. But people usually ask about the tools in order to have an understanding of what we're using. So Launchpad is our main tool. That's our single sign-on platform. It's basically a desktop with a lot of apps on it, similar to that light blue box there. And students log in once and teachers log in once, and then they have access to all their tools from there. Our main assessment and communication tool is our gradebook tool. We use Focus Gradebook in Brevard. Several Florida districts do. It has some nice features. Teachers and parents and students can chat with each other securely inside the platform. There's assessment data in there. Teachers can give tests in there. Teachers can create websites. There are a lot of tools for that, keeping that communication piece going. For learning management system, when we went remote, didn't have an investment in Canvas like our universities use. We had some students using some teachers using Blackboard Learn, but not enough that we had a lot of usage in the district. What most of our teachers were using were Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams for that content curation and distribution. So that's what we continued with, and it's been really successful for us. Some districts choose between Microsoft and Google, and they only support one. Brevard has always supported both, so teachers have had a choice with us. And for meeting platforms, we did the same thing. We already had Microsoft Teams and Google Hangouts, which each of them had some benefits, and then our teachers wanted Zoom. So Zoom is our other meeting platform. And most of this was decided by schools. The full school went Zoom, and most of our schools are using Zoom. So when we take that context we've provided of what students need to understand to be effective in the workforce, the benefits of technology integration, and that monumental leap we've taken in the last 10 months in technology integration, and we look back at this question of how can a teacher effectively integrate technology within their classroom or e-learning, our answer would be blended learning. And this is an instructional model that you will hear more about in a moment. But the amazing thing about this is when we were putting laptops into brick and mortar classrooms, either in small sets or full carts, and teachers said, how do I integrate the technology? We would bring them in and train them in blended learning as a technique to best integrate. When we went remote last year, we were mostly asynchronous in our first efforts at remote, and teachers wanted to know how to make that work in their classroom. And the answer for us then was blended learning. And then this year, when we were live remote for some of our students, again, blended learning was the answer of how to integrate all of that. So it works for any type of technology integration. And that's why we want to give you some time tonight to take a deep dive into that with our facilitators. So I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because with this presentation, I cannot see your video. So let me see if I stop sharing here, if I can have video for the people who are sharing video. I have it back now. We are going to create a couple of rooms and we are going to send you into small groups so we can be a little more interactive now. So let's take a few minutes. Let's have you ask some questions. You are really entering the schools at such an interesting time, particularly after everything that's happened, whether you're entering in a year or 2 years. I think we'll still be seeing the results of everything we've gone through now. And it's going to be an exciting time for some change that you're going to be able to have a key role in helping to shape what it's going to look like and what education is going to look like in the future. So are there any questions from anyone? And you're welcome to turn on your microphone or put it in the chat, whichever you prefer. So let me ask you this. Tell me one thing that your professors did, because you all did the same thing that our students did. You had to go remote for a period, and now I don't even know what your situation is now. If are you fully remote or some of you back in class? Is it a mix?
I know the classes at UCF are, you can choose whether you want to be online depending on how much occupants they're going to have in the classroom. I personally am in my last internship semester, so I am thankful that I have a full face-to-face internship experience. Everything's as normal as it could be right now, which I am definitely thankful for. But I know some of my fellow classmates are doing internship completely online or trying to juggle both at the same time.
And so what are some things that your professors did that helped you that you're going to carry forward into your classroom? If you were going there now, something that happened, is there anything you've done with the technology that you think was really valuable that you're going to carry forward?
I know in my internship, we have everything digital just for the what if we do have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So we started right off the bat doing everything digital. So just so the kids knew if they left us for 2 weeks, they actually knew what they were going to do for the 2 weeks. I learned how to do digital interactive notebooks, which was a lot of fun on slides. We do drag and drops and the kids love it and they're so engaged. So I'm going to keep that in my classroom.
Yeah, our teachers have been really busy because they had to take all these documents and transform them. But that's one of where I said we've made these huge shifts that we're never going back on, is they love these documents now and how interactive they are. And now they built up the library more quickly than they planned to, but they have it now. And up north, they're talking about how snow days may be a thing of the past, because if there's not a power issue, you can just have students stay home. And if you have laptops, they can just go online. Doesn't work as well for hurricanes because of the electricity, but some of those needs for students to be out, we don't have those anymore. We've proven that. I like, a lot of people talked about the checking in and those mental health checks. And you do that in a classroom naturally. You stand at the door as students come in, you're greeting them, you're kind of assessing every day, how are your students doing? I think that the technology provides a really powerful way to do that, particularly with your students who are shy, who aren't going to speak out in class. If you have that one-to-one connection there that a lot of these tools provide, you can do those checks with some of those students who might not visually show you as they're walking in the door they're having a hard time, but they would be comfortable communicating with you. Digital manipulatives for math. You all need to come to Brevard. You have some amazing things here that you're going to do. We'd love to have you with us. Check in. I saw something else. The link for confirmation we joined. That would be a Kylie question, I think. Oh,
I just put a link
she
in
answered.
Yep.
Google
For the
Classrooms. Some of you like the Google Classrooms, the visual tools, the shy students and the check-ins. Padlet's a good tool. There are so many good tools out there and more tools coming out every day. So we've only have about 4 minutes left. If no one else has any more questions, thank you for spending time with us. If you want to reach out to any of us, I know we would love to talk to you. We will help you out. If you're working with an issue in your internship and you want us to provide some advice, reach out to any of us, whether you're in Brevard or not in Brevard. We always like to work with students who are coming into education, and you are truly coming in at an amazing time, and you are going to be able to help us shape what education looks like going forward. And it's a real opportunity because people are interested now in helping us make education everything it needs to be for our students. So thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Dawn, Michelle, and Rochelle for putting together that wonderful presentation. Just to let any of the seniors know, you guys have a job fair. I think it's next week, right? November 13th, I believe. So we're going to be there. I've got some awesome principals for you guys to connect with, just to chat. So check us out and just get yourself on the schedule. But thank you so much for participating in this session. And wherever you go, best of luck in your future. And I hope this will be helpful to be able to help you engage and connect with your kids and parents in a more meaningful fashion. So thanks again for having us. We always enjoy these talks, and so proud of you guys for choosing an awesome profession.
Thank you very much, everybody. Just to bring your attention, in the chat, there is a couple links going around. I'll send them again just for clarity's sake. There is the link for the certificate for you guys' attendance today, as well as the link to the NIDA Talks calendar. So make sure to check us out. We have so many more wonderful sessions coming, and thank you so much to our presenters today. This was phenomenal, very informative. And if no one has anything else, I think we'll close it out for today. Thank you very much.